as I get back to practice this week, just kind of want to give an update on Tyron Smith. That word is, I know Michael Gelkin from the Morning News is reporting that he's close. Yeah, they're not going to start the clock on him coming back until after this week. Okay. So next week for the Houston game, expect Tyron Smith to be back out on the practice field, and then that's where they're going to start the clock to get him going and then try and get him ready to play here. And then, as you know, Jerry Jones offered on the station that he's going to go right back into left tackle, and then Tyler Smith would play at left guard.
Do you think he could play against the Texans already?
I wouldn't doubt it with that guy. I just wouldn't doubt it at all. I mean, I know that they want to get him some work, and I also wonder.
And he can't practice until you open that window?
Until you open that window, okay. Yeah. Until you say, okay, we're going to get him going here. But the plan is to get through this week and then get him ready for Houston. But in all likelihood, you know, that you could be looking at probably Jacksonville the week after that, right? Would be the situation.
Yeah.
And then that would get you ready. After that would be the Philadelphia game at home.
You're in a great spot, having a lot of sack in 2 weeks. McGovern's playing all right at guard.
Yeah.
So until he's 100% ready, you don't have to rush that.
No, you don't. I will say this, though. This wasn't one of the better games for Tyler Smith.
No, it wasn't. The penalties included.
Yeah. This was a rough game. And matter of fact, one of the reasons, like the Dak, and folks, trust me here, I'm not trying to defend Dak here on this second interception that he threw, the one that was knocked in the air by Holmes. But if I'd had my thumb broken following through on a pass, I probably wouldn't have fallen through on this particular throw he made. I think he did a good job of trying to get it there, but Tyler Smith was completely in his lap when he had nowhere to step. I mean, literally, he is trying to really just all arm strength get the ball, and they're in a cover 2 look. And when I talk about cover 2, you got the safeties on the hash, and both safeties went wide. They both widened out. So I understand the read that he saw. You know, I understand it wasn't one of those, why are you throwing into coverage? No, when you look, he legitimately saw the 2 safeties split, and they tried to fit the ball inside, but he could not step up to throw that ball because Tyler Smith had just gotten driven in the backfield by Thibodeau there. So that was a rough.
It is.
Rough
Well,
play.
and you know what? He is now, because they don't throw it very much, and he has thrown so many, he is bottom 4 in the entire NFL out of 36 quarterbacks that are eligible for interception percentage.
Yeah.
Every 3.3% of throws. So 1 in 30 is getting picked. And like the top 5 is all really good players, and the players around him are all pretty much bad players, you know. So hopefully this is just a bad streak, but I just wonder if you can get the points without all the turnovers.
Yeah.
And is 1 interception a game something you can win in spite of? I think you can, as long as you don't get 2 or 3 of them in a playoff game. You should be all right, you know, and you can't have any fumbles. Right, you're at that point you're leaving no margin for error. But by itself, 1 interception a game isn't the end of the world. But it's concerning. And if I'm Dak, I'm starting to think, like, how can I see these guys? What should I do to eliminate the risk a little bit more?
That's why I brought up, because there's been times where I don't feel like he's seen the coverage as well as he's needed to. In this one, I completely understand why he threw the ball where he did, because of the way the safeties parted and gave him that space.
Well, that makes me feel better then, because the first one, as we talked about earlier, that felt like he thought, him and Broaddus both thought that's a free play offsides.
He's going to take a chance.
I'm just going to throw the ball here.
And him just weren't on the same page.
Yeah. That was extremely unfortunate.
But the numbers also show he's just been really good in completing passes over expectation. I mean, I gave you the next-gen stats thing last week, where he was 21.8% of passes over expected, which was the highest of the last 3 seasons when throwing 25 or more passing attempts. And surprisingly, against the Giants, he carried that over. 17.7% of his passes were completed over expected. That's the highest CPOE by any quarterback in a game, with at least 30 pass attempts over the last 3 seasons.
He's been nasty.
So, I mean, the numbers are supporting that he's playing really good football right now if you're an analytics guy.
Yeah.
But I'm with you on the turnovers. You get into the postseason, he's going to need to clean that up.
Something, you talk about to win these games, sometimes you need breaks. And when I mean breaks is like, something great happens to you. Boy, the officials, I tell you what, they gave you one on the illegal man downfield penalty by
the touchdown for the Giants?
By Tyree Phillips. Yeah.
Oh.
He wasn't downfield. They gave you, he was like probably 3 steps downfield, and he actually backed up as the ball was being thrown. And so what happens, sometimes you need a break because that's, and I went back, I was like, man, is this officiating crew, the Scott Novak crew, just that with ticky-tack with the calls? Yeah. That was you caught a break as a Cowboy fan.
Fernandez with a PK, 2-0 Portugal, 93rd minute.
There you go.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like in every game you're going to get some breaks and have things go against you most of the time.
Right.
Whether it's them not calling any penalties on you or a timely one, it's good to keep in mind because we're not too far from the Cowboys being screwed as well. You got to keep these things in perspective.
Absolutely.
1-score game, they have a touchdown erased because of that.
Yeah, that was definitely a situation where that wasn't one of those that goes either way. No, that's a lucky call for you. That just really is. All right, there was times in this game we were worried about the ability of Daniel Jones with the RPOs in the game, where he fakes the run and pulls it and then he takes off running and then they throw. Remember there was a play in the game when they played in week 3 where he pulled the ball and ran to his left and fired it to the outside, and they got a big play out of it up the sidelines, up the Cowboys sidelines. Well, they tried to run the same play again in this game, and the Cowboys played it perfectly. They got everything. It's like, okay, we see what you're trying to do here. He pulls, he's going to run, and what happened is, and Daniel Jones is trying to run, but Richie James is going to be the guy on the outside. It's like, no, this time, Anthony Brown, by the way, has had his shares of problems, but on this particular play, he read it perfect. Richie James tried to stay wide, and Anthony Brown jumped the route, and then they all got bodies to Daniel Jones, so he couldn't get the ball off. So then it was just like a couple-yard run instead of like a big play like in the game where it was like in week 3 where it was like a 14-yard gain. So that to me is encouraging. You're going to play some of these teams that have these RPO capabilities.
For sure.
And if you're starting, and Philadelphia being the team that does the RPO stuff too, here you are, you see a team the second time around and you actually play the right way. And that's the only time in that game that the Giants tried to play because they didn't get anything out of it then. All right. You talk about another big play, the 4th and 1 play that the Giants ran to try late in the game. They were trying to get the first down, keep a drive going. The game was kind of I felt like the game kind of turned at this point. This is the play that went to Barkley.
Yeah.
And
he dropped it.
Yeah. Well,
wasn't a great throw.
It was a terrible throw. And the thing is, if you're a Cowboy fan and you go back and watch the play, if he hits him,
he's open.
It's a touchdown.
Yeah.
It's a touchdown.
That's turn up the sideline and burn.
Well, it is, because when they fake the ball, like nobody goes with Barkley at all. He runs through the line, and as he's turning, if that ball is anywhere to where he could catch it and turn and go, it's a touchdown for the Giants right there. So you talk about catching breaks, he'd still be running if that was the case. So great job by the Cowboys catching a break right there on that particular play, because that could have been out the gate and it could have been a Giants touchdown as well.
Yeah, and the game was still in the balance at that point.
It was.
Absolutely.
I felt like the game kind of turned at that point. Dallas got the ball, able to go
quick score.
Exactly right.